Have you ever seen the moment when a bully realizes they messed with the wrong person? Not because their target fought back, but because fate fought for them? In the chaotic halls of Woodbridge High, where reputations rise and fall faster than the slam of a locker door, one arrogant jock made the mistake of picking on the new kid. But what started as a cruel prank spiraled into a twist that left everyone speechless, and one bully crying. The first day at a new school is like stepping onto a blank canvas. Endless possibilities, but every stroke could define you. Elliot Carter, a wiry 17-year-old with sharp, observant eyes, hugged his sketchbook tightly as he walked through the crowded corridors of Woodbridge High. The chatter of students echoed off the tiled walls, blending with the occasional slamming of lockers. For Elliot, the noise was just background static. His focus remained on staying invisible. Elliot wasn't shy, at least that's what he told himself. He simply preferred solitude, the kind that allowed him to sketch undisturbed. Art was his escape, his voice, his way of making sense of the world. But Woodbridge High wasn't a place for quiet observers. Here, the loudest ruled. Lunch was particularly daunting. Elliot found a corner table near the windows, his usual strategy to avoid attention. He flipped open his sketchbook, the blank page glaring up at him like a challenge. Slowly, his pencil moved, sketching a scene he had glimpsed earlier. A cluster of jocks by the gym, their boisterous laughter masking insecurity. But solitude has a way of inviting the wrong kind of attention. "Hey, what's this?" a voice interrupted, sharp and mocking. Elliot looked up, meeting the smug grin of Bryce Miller, the school's star basketball player. Bryce was everything Elliot wasn't: loud, confident, and effortlessly popular. Bryce snatched the sketchbook before Elliot could react, flipping through the pages. "Wow, look at this! We've got a little Picasso here." Elliot's jaw tightened, but he didn't respond. Bryce's cronies laughed as Bryce held up a page depicting a caricature of a basketball player. "Is this supposed to be me? You could have at least added some muscles." "It's not about the muscles," Elliot said quietly, his voice cutting through the laughter. "It's about the flaws." Bryce froze for a moment, his grin faltering. Then, with an exaggerated laugh, he tossed a sketchbook onto the table. "Careful, Picasso. That attitude's not going to get you far around here." As Bryce walked away, Elliot exhaled. The encounter left a sour taste in his mouth, but his grip on the pencil tightened. He had no intention of erasing who he was. Days passed, but Bryce hadn't forgotten Elliot's quiet defiance. To Bryce, Elliot was an anomaly. Someone who didn't shrink in fear, yet didn't fight back either. It irritated him in ways he couldn't explain. The confrontation came one afternoon as the final bell rang, marking the end of the school day. Elliot hurried to his locker, eager to grab his sketchbook and head home, but Bryce and his posse were already there, leaning casually against the lockers like a wall of arrogance. "Well, well, look who it is," Bryce drawled, pushing off the locker and stepping in front of Elliot. "You been sketching more of my flaws, Picasso?" Elliot didn't reply. His silence was a weapon, and Bryce hated it. "What's the matter? Too scared to talk?" Bryce's voice rose, drawing the attention of nearby students. A crowd began to gather, their phones out, ready to capture the spectacle. Bryce grabbed Elliot's shoulder. "Let's see if you fit in here, new kid." Before Elliot could react, Bryce shoved him backward. The cold metallic clang of the locker door behind him echoed as Bryce forced him inside and slammed it shut. The laughter from the crowd was muffled, but Elliot could feel the vibrations of their amusement. Inside the cramped darkness, Elliot steadied his breathing. He wasn't going to let Bryce win by panicking. "Out, now!" the teacher barked, glaring at the lingering crowd. Elliot stepped out, brushing himself off. He didn't say a word, but his expression said enough. The humiliation burned, but so did the determination in his chest. Bryce sauntered into the gym the next morning, confident as ever. He didn't notice the sharp glare from Coach Darren, who stood waiting near the bleachers. "Bryce, my office, now." Bryce froze. The coach's tone left no room for argument. As Bryce entered the office, the sight of Coach Darren's phone on the desk immediately wiped the smug grin off his face. A video was playing on loop. Bryce shoving Elliot into the locker. The crowd laughing. What is this? Coach Darren's voice was low, but the anger was unmistakable. Bryce shrugged. It was just a joke, coach. No big deal. No big deal, the coach's voice rose. That's my nephew you shoved into that locker. Bryce's jaw dropped. Wait, what? He's your damn right he is, the coach snapped. And you think you can treat him or anyone like that? What the hell's wrong with you? For the first time, Bryce felt his confidence crack. Coach Darren's words cut deeper than any punishment. The fallout was swift. The video had already spread across the school, and Bryce's teammates began avoiding him. He was no longer the untouchable star, but a symbol of cruelty. Coach Darren gave him an ultimatum: make amends or face suspension from the team. Bryce wrestled with his pride, but knew he had no choice. At lunch, Bryce stood in front of the cafeteria, his voice shaking as he addressed the crowd. I owe everyone, especially Elliot, an apology. What I did was wrong. I thought being strong meant tearing others down, but I was wrong. I'm sorry. The cafeteria fell silent. Elliot, seated in his usual corner, nodded slowly. Apology accepted, he said. Bryce's journey to redemption wasn't easy, but it was sincere. With Coach Darren's guidance, he began working with the school's anti-bullying program, sharing his story as a cautionary tale. Elliot, meanwhile, found his own voice. His art began appearing in the school newspaper, depicting moments of resilience and unity. One Friday night, the basketball team won a crucial game. Bryce, now a team player in every sense, looked up to the stands and saw Elliot sketching. They exchanged a nod, a silent acknowledgement of how far they'd come. The story ends not with perfection, but with progress, as Woodbridge High becomes a place where strength is redefined and respect is earned.